Orient Volume 7 review. Volume 6 of Orient left Musashi separated from the rest of his band, as each of them have been placed in different platoons for the upcoming battle against the demon god that has taken over Awaji Island. Volume 7 picks up directly from there, and each of the different factions in Musashi's platoon dukes it out from control of the group. Getting into petty squabbles might not be the best idea, however, as there is a lot more going on here than Musashi realizes. As much as Oisogi's band's leader, Tatsumi is respected. There are plenty of people in his court that would use the battle for their own ends. When in the shadows, the Obsidian 8 begin to move forward with a new plan to claim the Obsidian Goddess from themselves. But the previous volume was more of a transition stopgap. This one is jam-packed with new details and it's very action-heavy, but the very few good fights making up the bulk of the volume. It's good to see the focus placed in the action again, as the artwork gets satisfyingly punchy, particularly in the opening fight when Musashi goes out against Akihiro Shimazu and Kasumi Amako, and gives a chance for the sword-to-sword combat to shine, rather than focusing on the sword spirit powers that have so far been used in the demon battles. This also presents an opportunity to show how Musashi stacks up against his fellow samurai, something we haven't really seen outside of the fight with Shiro and Nanao. It doesn't develop him too much, but at least makes an effort to show his typically straightforward shonen anime protagonist. Hidden Hanon mindset isn't going to work here. The manga doesn't linger on this for too long, tough, though. As with a lot of plot points to get wrong, it moves things in quite quickly. The pacing here is great. There's always something going on that is moving the story forward, but the fights would never become boring or outstray. They're welcome. The first assault on Awaji Island is particularly striking thanks to the horde of cool monsters that have been to be fended off. Giant whale are narwhal-like creatures called slitmouths, which obviously have giant gaping mouths plus incredibly tough horns. The overall design seems to be very yokai looking, but at the same time inspired by western creatures like the Kraken in the way they try to sink the samurai ships. There are also two new characters introduced here, one being the cool Kanetatsu Laoi, who turns out to be not just a really humble tax collector, but one of the Oisogi band's strongest warriors. He's a simple and honest guy, but seems like a solid addition as a side character, working as yet another samurai for Musashi to idolize. The other, Yataro Inuda of the Obsidian 8, decided to complete opposite, feeling very uninspired being an ugly gigantic dude surrounded by a harem of naked young girls, when his design screams wretched villainy. The Jabba the Hutt vibe comes off as they did an out of touch, particularly with how the younger girls were servicing him look. It's certainly a bit of a shame, but at least there's a really good twist at the end of this volume about one character related to him that is actually really well disguised. Some of the other plot points that are developed here, however, miss the mark. The main themes of this volume are the value of teamwork and what it takes to be a good leader, but I don't think it gets a message across in an effective or consistent way. Musashi's collaborative form of leadership is pitted against Akihiro's dictatorial style, forcing the other unit members to obey one penalty of death. While it initially tries to portray Musashi's ideals as being better, it weirdly shifts gears halfway, preferring Akihiro's approach. And thus it's better to just follow orders without questioning fit into the mold. While Japan fits into that more in terms of a social makeup, I find it odd it's not meant with criticism after the earlier clash between the two ideals. Things are to then move more of base by pushing Musashi into a negative mindset and then doing a lot of his character development from previous volumes, making his past achievements feel worthless. When it actually gets to the crux of the problem, Musashi being inexperienced and not knowing what he's doing, it works. But I don't think it needs to belittle him so much. Even though his naive attitude does make him a frustrating character, there is also an issue with intending to repeat information that the reader already knows, which can be a bit tiresome. Some things are elaborated on a bit more, but for the most part, it's stuff that you have either read or should have figured out before. Orient continues to be published with Kodansha in both digital and physical formats. The physical copy is well presented, while translation is handled by both Nate Dare and Kevin Gifford, and reads perfectly with no issues to speak of. Overall, Volume 7 of Orient successfully ramps up the action and presents us with a fun series of fights but misses the mark in what it was going for with the direction of the story, confusingly running back Musashi's character development and running opposite to the message it was trying to convey. It's still doing it just enough to keep me going with it in terms of the art and action, but it's definitely not as compelling a read as it has been in some earlier volumes. 6 out of 10.